Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live with Purpose podcast. I am your host, Lisa K. Satchel, and today I have my dear friend Mia with us, and she is our first guest. I am so excited about it. I'm so excited to get into it. So before Mia introduces herself and tells y'all what she wants you to know and all that good stuff, I want to tell you why I love her so much. So we started, the first time I met Mia, we were put together, and she was put as my mentor. And I honestly think it was just God and aligning things, because since then, I'll be like, I kind of want to do this thing. And then without me even telling Mia, she'll do it. And I'll be like, so it is possible. Literally the whole vibe of our friendship. So I love it. I'm so thankful for her. And one of my favorite things she has is this book called Note to Self. It is my favorite thing that I have on my bookshelf. I keep it a pride of place at all times. She has a note in here. I'm not going to show it to y'all because it's special. But she wrote me a little note, and the thing that really inspired today's episode is this quote in her book that says, "There is no rule book. Be daring enough to design the life you want." So that's our whole vibe today, and that's what we're talking about. And honestly, that was one of the pages in her little note she said to me that she told me to read. And when I read that, it really it triggered something in me that I was like, you know what? I can do whatever I want. I can be whoever I want. Literally, there are no rules. So that's how much I love Mia and why she's here today and how great she is. So now I'll let her tell about herself. Your turn, Mia.
Oh my God. I was trying so hard not to talk. Everything you said, I was like, yes. When you said, I'm Lisa K. Satchel, I said, yes, she is. Lisa, I am so happy to be here. Really quick before we started, it's so funny for the listeners before we got on. I was like, Lisa, I have a surprise for you, but I was like, should I do it now or save it? And I was like, okay, I'm going to save it.
I'm so nervous.
So just for a little background, and I'll introduce myself officially in a second, but I love memories. I think they're what make life, and it's so much of what makes life special and meaningful. So I keep a memory box for every year of my life. I've done this in 6th grade. It's like a shoebox filled with everything from that year, and then every 5 years I'll condense or whatever. I'm moving to New York soon in a month, and so I'm condensing right now, and I went through my Los Angeles box, and I found the letter that Lisa wrote me. I still have it. I read it. I'm crying, Lisa. I read it and I was like, I personally cannot. I mean, you were just so sweet, and I'm so happy that program brought us together.
I sure am too.
You've inspired me right back. So I'm just so happy we know each other. But anyways, there's my nice things to say about you. I just want to put that in there before we start. But I'm so happy. Thank you again for having me. I'm Mia. I am a staff writer at shondaland.com by day. So that's the editorial site. Not Grey's Anatomy, not Scandal, not Bridgerton, but I write for the side that is, lifestyle and entertainment interviews, and in that way. By night, though, I am also a writer and just a creative. I love, I have a podcast myself with my best friend Michael called 2 in, and it's really fun. We ask each other questions, but we don't tell each other what we're going to ask each other beforehand. We just say, here's what's been keeping me up at night. And then I ask my question, he asks his question. That's really fun. What else about me? I mean, I've had a very, very interesting, windy career, but it's funny because I feel like the through line has always been storytelling and creativity. Yeah. So I started in video a really long time ago. I thought I wanted to do it growing up, and I studied it in school, and so I did it right out of school. I worked for sports. So I worked for the Wizards, so the NBA, the NHL, the WNBA, and then did that, and it was really fun. But I always knew, living in DC, which is a city I love, I was like, I've always said I wanted to go to Los Angeles, so I'm going to do that. Got into the Page program, which is harder to get into. Harvard, still can't believe that. We did it. Literally. That's it. And so we did that, Lisa. And I went to Los Angeles. I was into Los Angeles, into the world of entertainment, storytelling. Did that for a year. Worked at a small documentary company for a year. Worked back at E! News for a year. And then I kind of was I looked at my life, and lifestyle is very important to me. And I was I looked ahead. And it was scary because I couldn't see myself doing any of what I thought I wanted to do anymore. I was like, I don't think I want to do on air. I don't want to be up at 5 a.m. putting on makeup and then have my career be purely based on my visual my whole life. And it's also telling stories that aren't my own stories. So I like that in a sense, but I was like, I don't want to do that forever, and you have to work really hard just to get there. And if I change my mind, I was like, oh, that's a mess. I don't want to do that. And then I just really wanted to be in charge of, I guess, not even just my career, but my life. And I felt like entertainment, you work so many hours, like you're not ever in control of where your career is going. And I decided I wanted to take matters into my own hands. So I freelanced, and I literally like told my job, I was like, okay, I might like take some classes at grad school. Like I'm going to be a writer. And I realized that is like like everything I loved about on air and about producing and about writing, I can do as a writer and in my own terms, and I can work from wherever I want. Did not know I was ahead of what would become literally a revolution in work and be a work from home remote lifestyle. But I kind of like did it on my own before the pandemic started. And I went back and I took classes, and I started freelancing. I ended up writing for Cosmopolitan magazine in print. I ended up writing for all these publications. And then one day an old coworker said, will you apply to E? To Shondaland. And I was like, I don't know if I could get in. I was like, I'm not that good. She was like, you just don't know until you try. And I did. And then I got the job. And here I am, folks. It's been a windy road. But that's just a little bit about me. And I didn't even go into like how I came to the creative world. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. But that's a little bit about my path.
No, literally, that's why I really wanted you to share like what you've done in the career path, and even just like your personal path in life, like living different places and all that good stuff. Like that's one of the things I love about like your story is like there is no one path to purpose. That's how I started this podcast. Was just like there are so many ways you can get to what is your part, like what is your life, like what is your essence of who you are. And so I just love hearing all the different things you've done, because I also am the type of person who like when I hear people have done all these things, I'm like, wow, what a life. Like literally I love the concept of like what I call like living multiple lives in one lifetime, where it's like all these different paths. And so like I absolutely love that. But the through line, like you said, being storytelling, I love that. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna do two truths and a lie. We done told our life story. We done said why we love each other, and now we're just gonna do two truths and a lie to like really break the ice, so y'all can know a little bit more. So Mia, tell us two truths and a lie.
I've never been grounded.
Okay.
I love roller coasters.
Okay.
And I have a journal of like just things I've noticed in life that I'm like, one day I'll write into my dream rom-com.
Oh my gosh. All of these are amazing facts.
These are bad. I'm really bad at this game, Lisa. We need to erase this.
No, I'm dead serious. Those were really good, and things that I actually don't know, because you're so sweet and nice that I don't know if you've ever been grounded. And then the roller coasters, you like to have fun, so you might really like roller coasters. And then the rom-com thing, you're creative. I do things like that where I keep note of like, oh, that'll be cute for a story one day. So, okay. I'm going to say, oh no. I'm going to say that never been grounded is a lie.
That is the truth.
Really?
I've never been grounded. I was never grounded as a kid. I'm a very much rule-following rebel.
I love that.
Myself. But I really don't like getting in trouble. So.
Me either. 0 stars.
I was never grounded. One time I went to my parents and I said, can you ground me? Or punishment, as Black people call it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, can you put me on punishment? They were like, no. They were like, you can sit in the driveway for 5 minutes and you can't go past the driveway. And I was like, okay, thank you.
That's the only punishment.
No, I always wanted to be, which is weird, but I have never been grounded. Roller coasters are fun. So I guess that was a half lie, but I actually have a huge fear of I don't like the idea of like being trapped.
Oh my God,
so
getting
any
stuck?
Situation where I can be stuck, I really hate. So I don't necessarily love them, but I also like don't hate them. I get on them and then I'm scared the whole time. But anyways,
I get that.
So they're my really bad two truths and a lie.
No, I like that. I like that too. For basically, you guys know more about Mia and all those good things that she shared and all the amazing personal things too that were cute and fun. But now let's get down to like the nitty gritty. So I know you said that storytelling was like a through line in like everything that you've done so far, but do you notice any other things that may have been a through line in like your career, or even in your creative projects, that's like, this is the thing I want to get across, or like, this is something that really speaks to me that I really want to share? Like, what's like your vibe, like your whole through line vibe?
My God. That is such a good question, Lisa. Honestly,
Thanks.
it's funny because I've been thinking about this more myself. Like, when I feel like as you start to get older and you work more, you really actually have to actively, like, your whole career up through, like, when you're in school, right? In the schooling system, you are primed to always think about what you're working towards. And then once you get out into the working world, no one's asking you anymore, like, what are you working towards? And so I've really had to remind myself, like, not even what I'm working towards, but like almost getting back. It's like before I was looking forward, and now I'm looking backwards. Is like, what was my purpose all this time? Like, what is the message I was getting across? Why did I always ask myself, remember why you started? Or like, why did you start? I feel like we have to constantly remind ourselves. And for me, I think that I just really, I've always been a person who's like to, I think, spread positivity, but not in a way that feels false. To me, positivity, I've always said, it can be, it's just the truth, like it's just honesty. And for me, I remember I wrote a blog called A Year of Lessons, and I wrote every day for a year, a life lesson. And I never sugarcoated them. It was never like, we're gonna find the silver lining in every day. Some days I'd be like, there is no lesson, like this is just awful. Like, the lesson is that life can be really bad to us. Like, this happened to me today. Or the next day it could be like, well, like, it's not that bad. And like, there are beautiful little nuggets that we experience. And so for me, it's like just the message of positivity, and the fact that like we have to own everything that happens to us. And I've always been a person who wears my heart on my sleeve. And to me, like, I can't unattach the creative person is inside of me. Like, I can't separate it. I can't say that's work and like that's my personal life. It's all me, because how I process, like, writing, storytelling, video making, it's all been cathartic. It's all about like getting my ideas out there, and entertaining and inspiring and being positive, and in that way. And so I think that's really important to me. I think it's just like this idea that like whatever I'm going through, somebody else is probably going through it, or will go through it, or has gone through it. And it, to me, it's all about connection. It's just I love nothing more. It's not, to me, even validation. It's just when someone messages you, and not when they say, this is so good. It's when they're like, oh my God, that happened to me. And like what you said really like just struck a nerve with me, when you were like, I'd be thinking I want to do it, and then Mia would do it, and she showed me it's possible. Like, that to me is more powerful, and the idea that like we've all been through this thing together, or we will go through it, and it's an entry point to connection is what storytelling is to me. So to me, it's just really about other people, and being able to talk about things that we've all gone through together. Almost like life is a big therapy session.
Truly. Truly. No, I absolutely love that, because I think one thing for me too is like that line of like relatability is the most important thing. And I think it's interesting because I mean, you also talked about doing scripted stuff, and you do like lifestyle stuff, and you write and like all that good stuff. And I think that the through line is truly like giving people something to relate to. And like, I think the hard part is when you start your life and you start like down a path, like you think, okay, I only do scripted content. Okay, I only do lifestyle content. Okay, I only do, it's like you can do your storytelling and do your positivity through so many things.
Yeah.
Like the limitlessness of life that we don't even think about is like crazy to me.
Yeah.
We get so caught in our ways.
True. Yeah, we really do.
Which is why, again, design your life. That's what we're here to talk about. You
yes.
So in those moments where like you were having times of like having to like take a new path, or really think, okay, what do I want to do next? Like, what could you say was like your driving force, or like what made you decide, okay, this is the right next decision for me? Or maybe this is just a decision I want to try and we'll see what happens. Like, what were your deciding factors in that?
I always ask myself, what thing will you regret? Like, if you don't do this, will you regret it? And that usually is my driving factor, which usually is action. I find the answer to that is always action. It's never staying. It's never like, oh, I'm in this job I'm not sure about, but should I go and try something different? What I would regret is like probably staying, for me personally. And so that has really been a driving factor, is like, what do I think I like will be like at the end of my life, like, oh, I wish I would have tried that thing, or I wish I would have just done that or pivoted. Because I think the most pivotal advice I've ever received in my life was from my mom's friend Charisse, and she said, which it's in the book in some form, is life is like, you can always make U-turns. You can always go back to something, even if it's not that exact thing. You could do something like it. Like, it's so much easier to do that than it is to like you always have that option. So I think for me that's really important. But I think that's been a huge deciding factor. And then also clearly just prayer. I don't always hear, but it's like what am I gonna do? And then I think about like God's word, and I'm like, okay, I feel like this is right. And I don't know, it's just a feeling. But for me too, which is maybe like controversial advice, but I've never been a gut person. I don't trust my gut. I've always said that I think my gut is the human part of me, not the spiritual part of me. So I think to me, your gut is like your instinctual fear, like someone's following you on the street, or like, ooh, like I have a bad feeling about this. And it's fear. It's not rooted in love. And so for me, I always follow my heart because it's the thing I want. Like, if I want to stay and I'm like, I want to make this work, like I'm just scared that, of X, Y, Z, but I think it is right for me to stay in this, then I'll stay. But most of the time, my heart is leaping on my chest to do that thing. So then I go for it. So for me, that's following my heart has been a huge guide in deciding when it's time.
That's super beautiful. I was literally sitting here like, oh my God, am I following my heart? But what I really want to ask you is, like, can you give us an example that you feel comfortable sharing that's like a time where this was the fear that was in my head and this is how I chose to follow my heart, or this is how I chose to follow what would be best for me in the moment, and maybe share with us what some of those fears were?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the biggest thing is leaving LA, because I think the reason people go out there is to stay there and to become the big XYZ. And so it's so funny because since I've been home, I've had many friends reach out to me individually to be like, how did you feel when you left? And like, how did you overcome that fear? And like, I'm so scared of how I'll be perceived. And it's a real thing, because like, your whole life people are rooting for you to like go to the Mecca, to the promised land of LA, and then when you leave, everyone's like, you failed, or they're like, you like didn't do what you set out to do. And for me specifically, I was in a relationship, and I had been in that relationship we were dating for a year when I was like, I'm going to LA, and then I left, and we did 2 years long distance in LA. And when I was moving back, a lot of people, whether they said it verbally or not, it was very much like, you're going back for your relationship. And I knew in my heart it wasn't. And some of the most painful things people have said to me have been friends who've been like, just say you want to move back for Dan. And I'm like, I'm not going to say that because it's not true. Like, am I happy I'm going to be by like my man's? Absolutely. But am I going back for him? No, I'm too purpose driven. Like, and I knew that I wasn't my happiest in LA with or without him. And I knew how it looked, but I just did it anyway, and then it all worked out for me. And then it's always funny to me because like when you're freelancing, you're not as like, it's not as popular of like, oh, you're writing for like these really cool places, especially to start. The reactions you get from that versus now, like the value people place in me now that I'm working at a place where it is like a household name again. It's just like, people are so flighty. Like, people don't know your purpose, and you can't really focus on what people are saying about you, because then when you do like make it in your own way, or like do something, the next thing that you're gonna do that is a promise that you're gonna do that is successful, then those people are gonna change their tune anyway. So you can't like pay attention to what other people are saying. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I'm scarred by things people have said, but you just got to keep going, because it's not about them. And when you know in your heart of hearts, like, it's what you're meant to be doing, then it all works out.
No, I definitely love that you shared that, because I think the thing that stops us from designing the life we want and creating the life we want is like, what are people gonna think? Or like, this doesn't look like what I thought it would look like when I first started this thing. Like you said, people, like, for me, leaving LA was a whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? And I think the first, for everybody, right? And even if I go back and all that, like, I know that I will be much healthier and better for the time that I stepped away for a little bit, because I think when you first moved to LA, like you said, we're chasing this dream. Like, we're going to be in LA, like this whole thing, right? Yeah. And the perception people have is, oh, you're successful because you live in LA, or you're successful because you work at this company, or you're successful because.
Yes.
What if I'm just successful because I'm following my purpose? What if I'm just successful because I'm following my heart? Yep. What if that is what success looks like? So recently what I really had to do was redefine success. Like, what does that look like for me? Not what does it look like by, like, the world standards or my friends or even my family. Like, what does success look like for Lisa? And you were able to define, like, what does success look like for Mia? Following her heart. You know what I mean? And also, I would like to say, just for a quality of life, I am so happy you got to be with your man. Because, like, yes, purpose-driven is great, but it is great when your purpose also aligns with what you want in your heart, too. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And, like, your feelings, and it's all mixed together. Yeah. So I love that for you.
That is a true point, too, because I feel like so many people say, like, oh, like, you shouldn't do something for a man, and it's like, no, but what if you do something for love? The whole point is to follow your heart, and if, like, love, people think love is not a worthy thing, which is problematic in itself, like, that love is not a worthy thing to chase after if you, like, have that thing. Like, that's problematic. But anyway, sorry, continue.
But I mean, well, I do want to talk about that, because I think love makes people happy. Like, my happiness is important, and I think that's something that, especially when, I think it's the quarter life, I call it quarter life revelation, not quarter life crisis, but the quarter life situation kicks in, and I think that is when most people are like, I don't want to be, like, especially people who moved to LA straight out of college or, like, really close to it, are like, it's time to go. I need to reevaluate. Like, I need to, like, or it's time for me to stay here and still reevaluate. Either way, around 25, you hit that, like, I need to, what's going on for real? Because it's like, we work so hard, and then it's like, what am I working so hard for if I'm super unhappy, if I'm always depending on other people's opinions, if, like, what am I want to be happy. And like you said, lifestyle, you may have said that in our conversation before this, but lifestyle is so important. Like, what life do I want to live? And creating your life, what does success look like? What does happiness look like? What does peace look like? Yes. You know what I mean? What does joy look like?
Yep. That's all so important. Like, I always promise myself I'll not be miserable on my way to happiness. Like, that is absurd. Like, some people, that's okay. And I'm not saying, like, life has to be perfect, and it's not gonna be. Like, we're gonna hit snags, and not everything's easy, and it shouldn't come easy. But, like, we should not have to suffer. Yeah. We should not have to suffer to be happy. That makes absolutely no sense. So, that's what I thought.
1,000%. I love that. Well, Mia, what would you say to someone who at this point is like, I hear all this, I want to design my life, I want to create the life I want. Like, what advice would you have for this person?
I think writing down, like, I've visually mapped out so much of my life, and not even my life, what I want, like, what I desire, what makes my heart leap. Every time someone says something, or they do something really cool, I actually have a journal. It's literally right below me in this desk. And it's like, I'll literally print it out and paste it. And I'm like, that sounds so cool. Like, I want to do that one day. Like, that's how I want my professional bio to look one day. Or, like, that's what I want, you know, my life to look like. This is a project I want to create, something that sends those feel-good vibes or, like, that message. And I think starting there and just writing it all down however you want, whether it's, like, a word cloud or a vision board, those things can be really cheesy, but I mean, there are stats, if you look it up, that say when you write something down, it's more likely to come true. I think that it might be like 3 times more likely to come true. I can't remember, but it is a thing, and it's worked for me. I think the first time I realized I needed to do this, I wrote it down. I think it might have been the PAGE program, and I wrote it down. It didn't come true the following year, but the year after that, it came true. And I literally had it was basically my 1 year vision is what I call it, and I go, here's where I see myself in 1 year. And so it's not like what I want, but it's more like I see myself living in Los Angeles doing the PAGE program. I think the next year it was like living somewhere, and it's funny because I didn't write where, but I wrote living somewhere where I want, where I'm happy and creating the content that I want. And then I was freelancing and also like building my own brand at the same time that next year. I actually didn't do one this year. Which is so bad. Listen. Which is maybe why this year, people are like, what are you working on? I'm like, my joy. I'm like, my life, getting back on my feet after this pandemic. Like, that's it. But I think that is all really, really important. And I always tell everybody, like, have a 5-year plan. but don't be afraid to change it. For me, I'm a person who's always dreaming. Like, you should always have a dream, but you should also always be willing to change it. Or adjust, I should say. Or, like, be open. Not change, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, a dream, I realize, like, dreams are so fluid, and they fit in different molds. Like, they're not, like, it's not going to be a circle forever. And, like, the first time I realized that, I was really disappointed, which was my dream was to move to LA, and then I got there, and I felt this emptiness like I'd never felt, because that was my dream, and it was, like, just a circle. But when you get there and it's more flexible and you're like, okay, my dream is to, like, create positive content, then it can be a square, it can be a circle, it can be a triangle, it can be an octagon. Like, there's just, you really just have to, like, think big and open yourself up.
I absolutely love that. And I completely agree with it. And I think it's so interesting because people nowadays, they call it, like, manifesting, like it's this new thing. But, like, literally in the Bible, it's like, write the vision and make it plain. It's the same thing. We're all on the same vibe. We're just repackaging it, and that's fine, I guess. But I love that you said that. And I think that's the other thing for me, too, where it's like, my thing about making a plan was I was like, but if this doesn't happen, I'm going to be upset. Like, my feelings will be hurt. And, you know, and then I had to really think, like, my mom always says, make a plan from which to deviate. So if you have something in line, you have a vision, and then something switches or something adjusts, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. This is still, it can be in line with the plan. This is a remix of the plan, but at least I know what I'm going towards. You know what I'm saying?
And a remix is good.
Thanks, sis. But if you don't have, like, any idea, you can't move towards anything. And that's, like, not the vibe and not what we're going for. So, yeah, Mia, I really appreciate everything you shared. And I really love that. What you just said about the journal was so practical. So I think if people can take a practical thing away from this, it's like when you see something dope, when you see something that's like, wow, I'd want to do that, like, write it down, take a picture, put it somewhere where it's like, wow, like, that would be really, really cool to do. And I'll be honest, this is completely, okay, so this is feed into our next segment. So the last segment is, I just want you to talk about something that's, like, fun for you, something that's, like, you know too much about. So for me, I've been so into Netflix shows lately, specifically, like, design and, like, what is those things where they sell the houses? Like, those kinds of things.
Selling Sunset?
Listen, they can
That's
take
my
all of my
jam.
attention.
Selling Tampa, baby.
Selling Tampa was good. I started watching.
So good.
What was the other one? Oh, Motel Makeover. When I tell you I saw
that.
that, girl, Motel Makeover made me feel like I need to flip a whole house. I was like, I can flip a house. They flipped a motel. I can try to flip a house. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, but things like that are like little dreams or little, like, just thoughts. Like, I thought, when I tell you, I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you buy the house, I'll flip it. Like, what? Like, literally.
Yes, Dad. Come on, Dad.
Like, I was like, we got to do this. Are we doing this or not? Like, I was really into the idea of, like, flipping a whole house. So maybe one day, but I think the thing is, because we don't see the vision right now, we're like, oh, that'll never happen. Because realistically, is it going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. But would it be something fun to write down, to think about for later? Maybe. Yeah. Why not? You know? So I think that's something, I love that you said that. Just write it down, have fun with it, and see if it comes up later. There may be space for it later.
Yeah, and I'm big on bucket list, like career-wise and not. I have maybe 20. It's really scary. I have, like, an entire career one, and then I have, like, a whole adventure life one, and then I have going to New York. I have, like, a food one. I have an adventure one. I have a personal one, like, have tea parties with my neighbors, and, like, then it's, like, more, like, fun stuff, like, go do a floral arranging class at, like, at the Botanical Gardens. Like, I'm big on lists. Like, whoo, baby, notebooks and notebooks and notebooks. But, okay, something I'm big on outside of work, I mean, gosh, so many things. See, it's really hard for me, clearly, to, like, detach myself, but I've really been deriving joy from reading profiles. So
what does that mean?
Just reading, so, like, paper magazines, like, getting Vogue, getting Cosmo, getting, like, whatever like, sent to my house, and in the morning, getting my morning cup of coffee after I sit on my yoga mat, meditate, set my timer for 5 minutes. I, like, pray or meditate. Or just even thinking about my day, whatever I need in that space, I do. And then I make my cup of coffee. If I don't do yoga, I make my cup of coffee and I sit down and I read profiles. So it's just profiles about people's lives. So it's like, I'm trying to think of one that's like been popular lately. I don't know, but I read like one on Olivia Wilde. I read one on Kim K recently. Maren Morris. Like there's just so many people, and it's just interesting. Like there's climate activists. Like there's one on climate activists. Like just everybody, and just reading what's going on, like a snapshot into their life at the moment. It's very interesting to me. And Adele had a really, really good one recently too. And just doing that has been really, really awesome. But I'm trying to think of like what else I have. I've told myself that I want to be more of I want to curate, I guess, like a culture list, or like have a time capsule or capture culture. And so every year I have a list for like what I've watched that year, TV and film wise, what I've read, what songs. I now have like every annual playlist, so it's like all the albums that come out in 2021, and then I just like add whatever it is, and then I go through the year and I delete the ones I don't like, and at the end of the year I have like a whole playlist. And then like I'm so excited in like 10 years I can show it to my kids and be like, here's the songs I was listening to when like this happened, or like when this happened. So I think becoming like almost like a culture curator in my own life, like a museum. It's like the Museum of Mia. That's been really, really fun. But I don't know. I'm like, those aren't that interesting. But
no, they are.
Fine.
I super love that. No, I super love that because I do for my like every time my birthday comes, I make a birthday playlist. But it's not actually a birthday playlist. I've started one for 27. My birthday's like soon, so I started one, and I like start it right before my birthday, and then I stop it like before the next birthday. So I add to it throughout the year. So it's similar to what you're saying, but I title it my birth year. So this year was like 26, ready for this, and 27 is like it's a working title. 27 aligned with heaven. But like I'm also gonna put like not just gospel songs, but like BTS songs I really like right now, or like just any song that I listen to. And I like what you're doing though, because it's specific to the time period. But mine is like I heard Unwritten the other day. I was like, wow, what a bop that relates to my life right now.
Yes.
Natasha Bedingfield is added to the playlist. Like literally just stuff like that. So I agree.
It's a soundtrack to our lives. Like that is so powerful. That's
period.
It doesn't matter when it came out. The fact that you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, remember what you were feeling. Like it can evoke such emotion. I was never a big music person, but like recently I really, really have been. What is the I've been asking all my friends this week, what is the one song like bringing you happiness right now? Like what are you listening to, or not even happiness, but just what are you listening to on repeat for one reason or the other?
It's literally so embarrassing because
I love it. I love embarrassing. Tell me.
Okay, I've recently become a big fan of BTS.
Yes.
And they have this song called Anpan Man. And here's the thing. It's basically like, I can be a hero for you. I don't have muscles. I don't have pecs. But like, I can be there for you and stuff like that. And I love the vibe because as, a leader or even someone making content or whatever, you feel like you want to save everybody. You want to be there for everybody. And that's basically what they're saying in the song is like, I can be there for you. And the crazy part is about this, the amount of research I have to do to like this song is crazy. And that's why I feel like it's embarrassing. Because I have to look up what is the English translation. And then I have to look up what is the significance of Anpan Man. Like, it's a whole thing. But that is a song right now that I'm like, yes. Like, that's my jam.
Go. Okay, I'm going to add it. Speaking of playlist, I have a playlist called What My Friends Are Listening To. I'm going to add it to that.
Oh, that's so cute.
So I've been asking my friends one by one. So what's it called? Anpan Man?
Yeah, ANPAN.
I see it.
MAN. Yeah.
That's really special, Lisa. I love that.
Thanks,
it's
sis.
added. I can't wait.
Yay. Okay, well, guys, we've had so much fun today just chatting and sharing these things with you today. I'm so thankful, Mia, for you coming and being here. Is there anything you want to share with the people, things they can check out, where they can find you, all that stuff?
Yeah, if you want. Michael and I are booting up season 3 of our podcast, and we're with Believe Network this season, which I'm really excited about. And so that starts next month, 2 a.m. You can search it on Spotify, Apple, wherever. Also, just like say hi on Instagram, Twitter. I'm on the socials. I'm around email. I'm a big email person. Like, I love a pen pal. So email me, buymeabrabham@gmail.com. I mean, I'm just around, and I'm excited, and I just want you all to just go, like, life is meant to be lived. That sounds so cheesy, but truly, like, don't let anyone stop you from what you want to do. Another quote in my book is give yourself the green light. And we just have to make life happen for ourselves. Like, no one's going to make it happen for you. So always start there. And yeah.
I love that. And so I'm going to plug a few more Mia things. Her book, Note to Self. You have to get it. And also, speaking of emails, her newsletters are really beautiful and really fun. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletters that come from her website and stuff. And yeah, just follow her because you'll be blessed. It'll be fun. And I love Mia's personality. It's really a burst of sunshine on your timeline, on your feed. Twitter is a good place to follow Mia as well. So fun. But yeah, so again, Hot Mess Mia. First of all, what a name.
She's Hot Mess Mia. It's so funny when they tweet out my stories for work and it's like, and Hot Mess Mia wrote this, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta change that. This is so embarrassing.
But I think it's so cute. I love it.
It's just me. I'm a hot mess.
I love. Maybe you can make it like a Finsta account, and then you can make like. I love the idea of a Finsta. But anyways, okay. We're getting off track. Okay, so I appreciate you being here, Mia, guys. I've been Lisa K. Satchel, your host. You can follow the podcast at Live with Purpose Pod on Instagram. Just keep up with me at Lisa K. Satchel. And remember, as long as you're alive, you have purpose. Thank you. Bye.